Yep, or the two DeVitre boys, or old man McQuade's son. California's full of 'em, and here's an Eastern sample while we're talking." A shiny black steam yacht, with mahogany deck house, nickel-plated binnacles, and pink and white striped awnings, puffed up the harbor, flying the burgee of some New York club. Two young men in what they conceived to be sea costumes were playing cards by the saloon skylight, and a couple of women with red and blue parasols looked on and laughed noisily. "Shouldn't care to be caught out in her in any sort of a breeze. No beam," said Harvey critically, as the yacht slowed to pick up her mooring buoy. "They're having what stands them for a good time. I can give you that, and twice as much as that, Harve. How'd you like it?" "Caesar! There's no way to get a dinghy overside," said Harvey, still intent on the yacht. "If I couldn't slip a tackle better than that, I'd stay ashore. What if I don't?" "Stay ashore, or what?" "Yacht and ranch, and live on the old man, and get behind Mama when there's trouble," said Harvey, with a twinkle in his eye. "Why, in that case, you come right in with me, my son." $10 a month?" Another twinkle. "Not a cent more until you're worth it, and you won't begin to touch that for a few years." "I'd sooner begin sweeping out the office isn't that how the big bugs start? And touch something now than—" "I know it. We all feel that way. But I guess we can hire any sweeping we need. I made the same mistake myself of starting in too soon." $30 million worth of mistake, wasn't it? I'd risk it for that." "I lost some, and I gained some, I'll tell you." Cheyne pulled his beard and smiled as he looked over the still water, and spoke away from Harvey, who presently began to be aware that his father was telling the story of his life. He talked in a low, even voice, without gesture and without expression, and it was a history for which a dozen leading journals would cheerfully have paid many dollars, the story of 40 years that was at the same time the story of the New West, whose story is yet to be written. It began with a kinless boy turned loose in Texas, and went on fantastically through 100 changes and chops of life, the scenes shifting from state after Western state, from cities that sprang up in a month and in a season utterly withered away, to wild ventures in wilder camps that are now laborious paved municipalities. It covered the building of 3 railroads and the deliberate wreck of a 4th. It told of steamers, townships, forests, and mines, and the men of every nation under heaven, manning, creating, hewing, and digging these. It touched on chances of gigantic wealth flung before eyes that could not see, or missed by the merest accident of time and travel, and through the mad shift of things, sometimes on horseback, more often afoot, now rich, now poor, in and out, and back and forth, deckhand, train hand, contractor, boarding-house keeper, journalist, engineer, drummer, real estate agent, politician, dead-beat, rumseller, mine owner, speculator, cattleman or tramp, moved Harvey Cheyne, alert and quiet, seeking his own ends, and so he said, the glory and advancement of his country. He told of the faith that never deserted him even when he hung on the ragged edge of despair, the faith that comes of knowing men and things. He enlarged, as though he were talking to himself, on his very great courage and resource at all times. The thing was so evident in the man's mind that he never even changed his tone. He described how he had bested his enemies, or forgiven them, exactly as they had bested or forgiven him in those careless days, how he had entreated, cajoled, and bullied towns, companies, and syndicates, all for their enduring good. Crawled round, through, or over mountains and ravines, dragging a string and hoop-iron railroad after him, and in the end how he had sat still while promiscuous communities tore the last fragments of his character to shreds. The tale held Harvey almost breathless. his head a little cocked to one side, his eyes fixed on his father's face, as the twilight deepened and the red cigar end lit up the furrowed cheeks and heavy eyebrows. It seemed to him like watching a locomotive storming across country in the dark, a mile between each glare of the opened fire door. But this locomotive could talk, and the words shook and stirred the boy to the core of his soul. At last Cheyne pitched away the cigar butt, and the two sat in the dark over the lapping water. "I've never told that to any one before," said the father. Harvey gasped. "It's just the greatest thing that ever was," said he. "That's what I got. Now I'm comin' to what I didn't get. It won't sound much of anything to you, but I don't wish you to be as old as I am before you find out. I can handle men, of course, and I'm no fool along my own lines, but I can't compete with the man who has been taught. I've picked up as I went along, and I guess it sticks out all over me." "I've never seen it," said the son indignantly. "You will, though, Harve. You will, just as soon as you're through college. Don't I know it? Don't I know the look on men's faces when they think me a mucker, as they call it out here? I can break them to little pieces, yes, but I can't get back at 'em to hurt 'em where they live. I don't say they're way, way up, but I feel I'm way, way, way off, somehow. Now you've got your chance. You've got to soak up all the learning that's around, and you'll live with a crowd that are doing the same thing. They'll be doing it for a few $1,000s a year at most, but remember, you'll be doing it for millions. You'll learn law enough to look after your own property when I'm out of the light, and you'll have to be solid with the best men in the market. They are useful later. And above all, you'll have to stow away the plain, common, sit down with your chin on your elbows, book learning. Nothing pays like that, Harve, and it's bound to pay more and more each year in our country, in business and in politics. You'll see." "There's no sugar my end of the deal," said Harvey. "4 years at college. Wish I'd chosen the valet and the yacht." "Never mind, my son," Cheyne insisted. "You're investing your capital where it'll bring in the best returns, and I guess you won't find our property shrunk any when you're ready to take hold. Think it over, and let me know in the morning. Hurry, we'll be late for supper." As this was a business talk, there was no need for Harvey to tell his mother about it, and Cheyne naturally took the same point of view. But Mrs. Cheyne saw and feared, and was a little jealous. Her boy, who rode roughshod over her, was gone, and in his stead reigned a keen-faced youth, abnormally silent, who addressed most of his conversation to his father. She understood it was business, and therefore a matter beyond her premises. If she had any doubts, they were resolved when Cheyne went to Boston and brought back a new diamond marquise ring. "What have you two men been doing now?" she said with a weak little smile as she turned it in the light. "Talking. Just talking, Mama. There's nothing mean about Harvey." There was not. The boy had made a treaty on his own account. Railroads, he explained gravely, interested him as little as lumber, real estate, or mining. What his soul yearned after was control of his father's newly purchased sailing ships. If that could be promised him within what he conceived to be a reasonable time, he, for his part, guaranteed diligence and sobriety at college for 4 or 5 years. In vacation he was to be allowed full access to all details connected with the line. He had asked not more than 2,000 questions about it, from his father's most private papers in the safe to the tug in San Francisco harbor. "It's a deal," said Cheyne at the last. "You'll alter your mind 20 times before you leave college, of course, but if you take hold of it in proper shape, and if you don't tie it up before you're 23, I'll make the thing over to you. How's that, Harve?" "Nope. Never pays to split up a going concern. There's too much competition in the world anyway, and Disko says blood kin hev to stick together. His crowd never